As you know, a lot of local governments are getting hit by a triple whammy. We have a major recession, and in particularly in cities like Oakland that have been doing, I think, well, coming out of the recession. I recently looked at the homeless reports. We were down 20% from the year before in our last report. We've done a good job with some of the transitional housing. Our unemployment had been at 20, even some people think over 20, is down to about 17, and so we're beginning to pull out on that. And now we're being hit potentially with a series of cuts, first from the state and then now the federal government, but really seem to be aiming at the people who are the most vulnerable in our communities. And at the time, so just the staff and I were laughing, this is like, I've been trying to get Jerry to take after the oil depletion tax or after the prison guards' pensions. But at the federal level, at a time when the budget doesn't touch the military budget, pretty much they actually get, I think, $2 billion more. Doesn't grow it for the first time in a long time, but doesn't hardly touch them at all. People are going after programs that affect the poorer communities in the country and job creation programs. And so what we're going to do is talk about a series of the federal cuts. I'm going to talk about the workforce programs, and I'm going to turn you over to Andrea Youngdahl, who's going to talk about Head Start and the senior programs, and then we're going to end with a discussion on the community block grants, which has gotten a lot of publicity nationally. So let me just say we gave you these briefings. The workforce investment programs, combination of things, that would be the summer youth job programs, the job counseling centers, the WIB board. The WIB board's been fairly controversial on and off. Affects probably the recovery the most. We have up to 15,000 people every month going to the 4 job counseling centers that would be eliminated if the WIA, the Work and Investment Act, is eliminated, and those programs. We would lose all of the money for the summer youth programs. There already was going to be a major cut. Last year we got a major increase because of stimulus. We were able to put 1,200 kids to work over the summer, 12 to 1,400 when you weighed all the different programs. This year, we'll be lucky to get 200,000. We're estimating with all, if I go out and beg a lot, we'll maybe be able to put 500 kids to work for the mayor's youth job program, and my staff tells me that's a good goal. Obviously, I'd like it to be twice as much, so we'll see how that turns out, but this would cut the remaining federal funding for that program. It would also cut about 200 job training programs. A lot of our initiatives around the green jobs, around people who are incarcerated, use these job training funds, so that would be 200 slots there. And it would eliminate about 400 high school job training programs. And this has been somewhat of a keystone, I think, overall, historically, of Oakland's success, trying to take kids while they're still in high school, giving them job and transitional training programs into jobs. That's been important sometimes in the trades. In our academy programs, we do a very similar thing. So we've been trying to build on the school district's past model of having kids while they're in high school starting to work, starting to get some job training, and then finishing their additional community college program and getting straight into the job market. So it would eliminate about 458 of those job positions. And so that's the one I wanted to lead out with, because it's clear that we have one of the nation's worst recessions. So the city's beginning to grow out of that. These are the jobs that probably be most impactful of that.
The city has run Head Start for over 40 years, and the program serves almost 1,900 young children and infants, 0 to 5, helping them to get a great start in learning and development. All of the current research shows that Head Start kids are making dramatic leaps in development compared to children without a preschool option, and this program targets families with children who are low income and otherwise would not have that preschool option. Helps parents go back to work, stay employed, go to school, and work towards self-sufficiency. The proposed House cuts would reduce the program by up to 20%, eliminating slots nationwide, 300,000 slots and 27,000 slots in California, and it would also totally eliminate the new early Head Start program that serves 300 infants and toddlers in Oakland. Children go unserved. Families who need that child care to go back to work and stay in school would lose that child care, and staff would lose jobs. So it's also impacting people's employment. The president's proposal would actually increase funding for Head Start, so we're waiting to see what will happen. As the mayor said, in homelessness, the area of homelessness, Oakland has started to make great inroads by creating housing options for people who are chronically homeless, including vets, families, and individuals with multiple barriers to housing. The stimulus funding also helped us start a new homelessness prevention program that provided rental assistance and utility support assistance, so it kept people housed before they became homeless. At any one time, Oakland has up to 4,000 people living on the streets, but through our coordinated efforts and the federal support, this number is lower than it has been. In the past several years, we've seen a 15% overall reduction in homelessness and a 43% reduction in family homelessness, particularly because of Oakland's focus on family homelessness. However, at the same time, because of the recession, we're seeing an up increase in what we call hidden homelessness, so people who are couch surfing, living with families, otherwise, doubling up, tripling up with other families. So while they may not be on the streets, they're actually without a home of their own, and we're seeing up to 168% increase in hidden homelessness. While the president's budget proposes an increase actually in these critical funding sources, the House has proposed severe cuts across the funds that support our work, including FEMA, which is our emergency housing funding when there's a disaster and there is no other resource for housing for people. Moving on to senior programs, Oakland has a rich history of supporting programs for seniors, matching our federal dollars with some city dollars. And as you know, this is a population of people that is growing as our boomer age, as we reach 55 and older. Our assets program provides employment and training for 393 individuals 55 and older. These are participants who would otherwise not have an employment option. They're people who have been out of the workforce. They need retraining. They need to be updated in their skills. They're all very low-income seniors who need to go back into the workforce because of the economy. They receive wage subsidies while they get on-the-job training, and they provide actually some support for our community-based organizations too, because we give them on-the-job training in community settings. There are currently proposals to cut the federal funding by as much as 63.6%, so almost 64%. Another program is our Senior Companion Foster Grandparent Program. It provides up to 100 volunteers. The volunteers are low-income seniors, and they give companionship and support to frail, monolingual, socially isolated seniors. We also have foster grandparents who support kids at risk by providing tutoring and mentoring. They serve over 1,000 people a year and provide 80,000 hours of assistance, and they get a stipend for doing it, which actually assists them with their own personal budgets. This program has been totally eliminated in the House budget. And then finally, I wanted to talk about Community Services Block Grant. This is one of the 2 block grant programs we're going to talk about. Community Services Block Grant provides funding to communities to focus on the eradication of poverty, but really on the promotion of self-sufficiency for families and individuals. We leverage these federal dollars to bring in over $3.5 million in other resources, and we use the funds to provide free legal services, housing support, job training and employment for youth and people reentering the community from prison, foreclosure prevention, and we support our city's earned income tax campaign that helps people do their tax returns and has returned over $9 million in tax refunds to Oakland for this past year. This program is slated to be cut in half and bid out competitively, so there's no guarantee that Oakland could continue the funding.
As Andrea said, the Community Services Block Grant is one example of a block grant, and Community Development Block Grant is another. This is one of HUD's 4 formula grants that they put out through that is available to the city. Currently, the city of Oakland is receiving about $9 million in the Community Development Block Grant, and historically over the years that has decreased dramatically. 15, 20 years ago, we were getting about $25 million. And the reason for that decrease is a number of things. There has been a number of jurisdictions that have come on board that is eligible for the funding, as well as the federal government taking funds from this project and moving it over to pay for the war and a number of things. The primary purpose of the Community Development Block Grant is to provide funding for low to moderate income individuals, and it's to go in and sustain and revitalize and rebuild the community. The City of Oakland utilizes those funds for a variety of programs. We use it for housing rehab, for community development, for economic development, and a variety of things. We've estimated that within a population of 425,000 in the City of Oakland, approximately half, about 200,000, are low to moderate income individuals. So if you imagine how many individuals we need to serve and provide services for with that small amount of money, and so we're trying to maximize the ability to provide those services. We've used these funds to leverage a variety of funds. We worked with Andrea's shop to leverage additional funds to provide matches for individual development accounts for individuals who are raising funds to open a business, to go into home ownership. And so we've used these funds to leverage additional funds. If you have a map that shows the 7 community development districts, and that gives you a snapshot of where we provide these services and how, and if you look, it's primarily the flatlands. And within these 7 districts, we have what is called our community development district boards, and these are comprised of individuals that live within the community and work within the community. A part of the $9 million that we have in the allocation, we provide $2 million that go out in RFPs where these district boards make recommendations on how they're going to utilize these fundings. And the services that they provide are the youth services, for example, the Boys and Girls Club, the after-school program. These are services where youth have an opportunity to go somewhere and interact and have a positive environment. We provide programs for our senior programs. We complement the senior asset program where we fund that provides funding for these seniors to go to work. Additionally, we use these funds for housing rehab. We have a number of seniors who are house rich and income poor, and so this provides fundings where they can go in and improve their homes. If they need to have emergency repair, access improvement, if they need a ramp for their wheelchair, if they need bars for their bathroom. And so of the $9 million, about $4 million goes towards housing rehab, and it provides the ability to access those funds. We also provide funding for merchants to do community revitalization where they can do facade improvement for their businesses and rebuild the economy within that area. So we look at the Community Development Block Grant as sort of an umbrella fund where it provides funding for those programs that are small in the community that don't have the opportunity to apply for and compete for funding on a global basis. What is on the table at this point in time is to cut CDBG by 62%, which would cut our $9 million to about $4 million. And what you would envision is that $2 million that has been provided for funding these district programs, it would cut it down to $750,000. And so you're literally cutting social programs and eliminating the ability to provide services to those individuals. For 2012, Obama has presented a 7.5% cut. And so that 7.5% cut would be in addition to the other 62% that they're proposing. So by 2012, we could be looking at having a CDBG fund of about $3 million, which would dramatically have an impact on being able to serve those individuals who are trying to rebuild their lives and sustain their lives.